Hey, we're live. Um, yeah, so I suppose what we'll do is we'll start with an introduction. So today we're going to be talking through the Pinterest platform and how it can how it can, I would say, advantage for a lot of the brands that we work with that advertise currently on Meta and Google and are looking to scale year over year, not only horizontally but also vertically as well, and where Pinterest sits in that market mix. My name is Ben. I'm the head of growth here in Webtopia. I'm joined today by Tom and Tina, who are going to introduce themselves.
Thanks, Ben, and hi, Tina. How are you? So my name is Tom Hayes, and I manage the strategic agency business for the SMB channel at Pinterest, based in Dublin. So I'm working across all of Europe, and delighted to be here today with all of you.
Lovely to be here. So my name is Tina. I'm a growth lead and growth pod leader at Webtopia. And I think a very common question that I've been getting over the past 6 months is diversifying in terms of paid platforms. So really looking forward to getting stuck with Pinterest, and setting up our clients for success coming into 2026.
Lovely. So we have a little bit of agenda that we'll be going through today. So number one, we'll be talking about starting right on the platform. So those people that haven't, dabbled in Pinterest yet, how we make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. The second topic we'll cover then, obviously Q1 is massive as well especially in the health and wellness sector. Q1 is sometimes bigger than Q2 or Q4, pardon me. So how to make sure that we're prepared for that. Shopping and performance then, so some people will be aware of the detachable shopping with the Meta and the Performance Max and Google. This is Pinterest's answer to that and how that works. And then the Premier Spotlight will be the last topic we cover on this. So let's get cracking. So getting started on Pinterest. Ooh, I've gone too fast. So generally, Tom, when people are thinking about joining Pinterest, one of the questions they ask, and so one of the common misconceptions, I suppose, is where it fits into the market mix. A lot of people think it's an awareness piece, and it's not necessarily for driving sales. We know from statistics and looking at historical data that pinners, as we call them, are getting not necessarily using Pinterest anymore just for discovery. And that's kind of evolved over the last couple of years, and it's really, really coming into being an important part of the market mix and discovery of a brand. Be great to get your view on where it has been and where it's going in terms of marketing mix for a lot of these advertisers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I guess I like to kind of root everything that we have in our mission statement. So our mission statement is to give everybody the inspiration to lead the life they love, and if we apply that to how the platform is actually set up, platform is effectively a visual discovery platform. We're a visual search platform right at the intersection of search, social, and commerce. So what does that actually mean from a practical point of view? Is that we are able to provide full funnel. We are able to solve for full funnel objectives because of the user intent, because of the way our users are using the platform, and the way and the objectives that the users have when they come to the platform. So if we think about the typical user looking for inspiration to create the life they love, they're coming to the platform with the intention of trying to do something. They want to get a new kitchen for their house. They want to change the hairstyle that they have. They want to go on a new holiday. They want to get find out the latest trends in terms of fashion. And what they're then going to be doing is curating the information that they find on the platform. So they will come with the intent. They will do the search for the product. They will then do the curation, save boards, look at pins, engage with pins, and then there's the whole shopping piece that we have, which enables an awful lot of the content on the platform to be shoppable. So with that, if we apply that to a discover, decide, do model, so we think about the user journey on Pinterest. We're not just coming to the platform at the last stage of our discovery journey to buy something. We're not just coming to look broadly at products, but we're really coming, as I said, with intent to get inspired, to explore deeper, to curate the content that we find, and then find that perfect item. And if you think about it, people come to Pinterest with a spark of an idea that they have. They're often early in their shopping journeys. They don't exactly know what it is that they want at that particular time. So we're like a well-curated boutique. So we introduce the right amount of new and relevant options for shoppers to discover and consider during their search. And then we'll guide them deeper through their shopping journeys, through products like visual search, and bring them closer to a decision with actions like saving. I think N is obviously to nudge them in the right direction in terms of the shopping. One of the stats that we have is that 71% of users say that Pinterest helps them discover products and ideas that they wouldn't normally encounter. And this is a 34% lift over those on another leading social platform. And I think another key one is that 83% of Pinterest users say the platform helped them to evaluate options and move towards a decision. And that's 35% more than those on another traditional search platform. So, we're really catering for users at every stage of their decision making journey.
Just on that one, Tom, it's interesting what you were saying there about the search and the social aspect. So generally brands would look at Google and they'd look at Meta and they'd say, okay, Google has this place where it's a search platform. People come there with intent about understanding what they want to look for. Maybe not an exact brand, but they are looking for a bag, a haircut, or whatever it is. And then Meta is very much viewed as a demand creation. So people are not there to shop, they're there to view other people's lives through new houses, new cars, new babies, whatever it is, and you're kind of interrupting them. Pinterest seems to kind of saddle the two of those where people are going to Pinterest with an idea of what they want, and then Pinterest is nurturing them through that journey from the search aspect, almost to the social aspect, where they're showing them different ads to buy from. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head with a few of those items there. But if you take the first point, just in relation to not knowing what they want, 96% of searches on Pinterest are unbranded. If you compare that to a Google, where Google excels as a when a consumer already knows exactly what they want. They're able to solve that problem really quickly. Pinterest solves kind of the more fundamental problem that advertisers are facing today, and that is decision paralysis. We have to make so many decisions on any given day, and we actually make about 35,000 decisions a day. Everything from what shoes to put on in the morning to what are we going to have for breakfast, how are we going to cross the road, etc. But there's so many decisions that we have to make in any given day that we do suffer from decision paralysis. But Pinterest, enables the curation of content on the platform, which helps users to solve that decision making problem.
I would argue that my wife doesn't have decision paralysis. She buys everything she sees, and then complains to me that she's got too many things. But I definitely agree with you. There's almost too much information or too many options out there. People can be kind of almost starstruck, or where do I go? There's too much information. People just get overloaded. They just don't know what to do next. So I 100% agree on that.
Absolutely, and I think if we're thinking about as I said, I've already sort of talked about intent, but if we compare Pinterest to another typical social media platform, the user comes knowing what they want to do, or knowing they want to do something. They just don't know what it is that they want to do. So they're doing it for themselves. So it's a very personal experience. This isn't a platform where I'm going on the platform to tell you about things that I've done in the past. I'm not going on the platform telling you exactly what I want to do in the future. I'm going on the platform. I'm telling you, I've got an idea that I want to do something. Please, Pinterest, help me solve that. And because of that unique intent and that unique kind of use case, that's why we're able to provide such a strong full funnel solution, because we can interject at each stage of the funnel.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you kind of really pointedly spoke about there is obviously the decision funnel, and that kind of comes up in the next slide here about how Pinterest kind of brings people through that funnel. How has this adapted over the years within Pinterest, and this common conception of Pinterest being a top of funnel? How is Pinterest now offering this funnel approach that brings people on this journey from discovery, like what we just spoke about, all the way through to purchasing?
Yeah, and listen, I think, you're not wrong. Historically, Pinterest would have been seen as a more upper funnel platform. In recent years, that there's been a fundamental shift whereby our leadership has decided and seen the opportunity in making Pinterest effectively a shopping platform, because we know that people are coming wanting to do stuff, and we want to be able to facilitate them to be able to buy those products rather than going off to another site. So I think that's something that is key. I think, I've talked about, having a full funnel impact. One of the stats that we have is that when a customer sees ads on Pinterest across the funnel, conversion rates are actually 2 times higher than when they've seen ads for just one objective. So, advertisers, we have data saying that, if you're doing awareness, consideration, and conversion type objectives, you're actually going to get better results. Many of your users and your clients will no doubt have heard of Pinterest, the Performance Plus solution. This is our AI solution, which, effectively helps automate a lot of the decisions that you have to make as an advertiser, whether that's the creative decisions, whether that's bidding, whether that's targeting, and, taking the guesswork really out of it. So we're able to drive, better performance at the lower funnel, at the lower funnel for advertisers. We've seen advertisers using Performance Plus have a 14% increase in conversion rate and 9% lower CPA. So there's a real move towards the lower funnel. Taking all the data that we have accumulated, at the awareness and consideration stages, and driving that down into the bottom of the funnel.
I think just on that, Tom, just from kind of our own client experience, we've had clients who have shifted more towards that Performance Plus campaign structure, and they've seen really strong results come through that. And they're using that from an awareness piece, but also that conversion piece as well. So they're using that Performance Plus across the board. And I think their return on ad spend and conversion rates have gone up considerably from that. So it's obviously performing quite well.
Yes. Absolutely. And listen, it's kind of table stakes now for any new campaign that's running on Pinterest. We would be suggesting that Performance Plus is the way to go for, because it takes, as I said, it takes the guesswork out of it. We're taking signals, billions of signals across the platform, and using AI to improve, as I said, your bidding, your targeting. We're auto-generating backgrounds. If you're in the retail business and you've got a product catalog, you can auto-generate pins for you based on the images that you have. So it's a very powerful suite of tools.
One of the main concerns, I suppose, when AI was coming in, people were like, we'll have no jobs left. But I think people are realizing now that AI is bringing us just such a powerful supplementary piece, especially about learning fast and being able to tailor people's experiences to make sure that they're not seeing, like if someone's looking for a new bag and they're not seeing a car ad or something like that. It's definitely helped. One of the things you kind of touched on there was creative, and Tina from our side is super strong on creative, or so the thing. Pinterest is very much seen as a content machine, but it's not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. There is certain types that work well within Pinterest. So Tina, I'll let you take this part.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing on Better at the moment is such a shift towards it being a creative platform and allowing that to do the targeting. And I suppose the benefit with Pinterest is that if you are optimizing your campaigns on Better for that creative feed, they might translate quite well over to Pinterest. So I think when kind of going through my Pinterest training way back when, kind of got those three rules. Obviously, the positivity matters, and it's an inspiration platform. So you want to make sure that your ads spark that inspiration, and help everyone kind of feel represented and showcase brands in the best light. The ads are the actual content. So, you know, you need to make sure that people who are looking to discover those ideas and products, the ads just slot in there. I think when I'm kind of scrolling through my Pinterest feed, it's quite hard actually to differentiate between what's an ad and what's an organic pin, just from the get-go. So I think that looks quite nice. And then obviously the visuals come first. So Pinterest is obviously all about that kind of visual discovery. So you really want to make sure that your creative does stand out. And I think what I liked about the Pinterest side of things is obviously designed for that vertical canvas, and you can really make things pop. And I think the best ads that I've seen work on Pinterest are the big logos, the bold statements, and the bright colors, to really capture that attention. So I think that the possibilities on Pinterest, I feel like, are quite substantial. And I know that we've got a couple of different, I guess, ratios or creative types that we can do, Tom. In terms of kind of like a showcase ads, can you describe that and how a brand maybe utilize that type of advertising?
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, you've kind of said an awful lot of what I might have said in terms of the content being additive, or ads being additive, I should say, to the user experience.
I think when I show potential clients or people who are interested in Pinterest as well, this particular page, they love it because it gives them such good guidance about what to do next or what to possibly try first, when you're kind of going through that funnel. So it's almost not like a one size fits all. And I find with a lot of Pinterest products and recommendations that they provide to potential partners or brands, it's very much they kind of go through the process and they say, okay, for an awareness, let's focus on these styles first, consideration, conversion. So at every touch stage, it's a unique opportunity or experience for the potential buyer as well.
Absolutely.
One of the things you spoke about there, Tina, is, you know, the best type of content you're seeing working on Pinterest is obviously the big writing, things like that. I think that's, you know, across multiple platforms. At the end of the day, when you're advertising, you're paying for real estate. There's nothing more frustrating from an advertiser point of view than paying for that CPM or whatever it is, and putting an ad in front of people and they're squinting to see what it is, or it takes them more than 2 or 3 seconds to understand what you're advertising. So this is a great ad here, and you know, outlining exactly what it is, bold colors, clear image, in your face what it is. Like it's a great example of what, you know, works quite well on Pinterest as well.
Yeah, I think as far this is probably a great example, but for brands that are more sitting in the luxury space or have a higher AOV, often they kind of meet that, or they have to deal with the fact that ugly ads are performing better, and you know you've got to kind of try these really raw organic CDC. You know, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the more polished style of creative works best on Pinterest, and I think that's where luxury brands or high big brands that do spend a lot of money on their campaign shoots or, you know, creative outputs things, could work really, really well on Pinterest, because that's really what drives the platform. It just looks so much better, I think. So if you are a brand that's kind of a little bit hesitant about the, you know, ugly style ads that some of these platforms are going down, I think Pinterest is definitely a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, I think, listen, if we talk about creative, and this is a whole other work stream, we have a thing called the 4 C's of creative effectiveness. And this is the result of a study that was done across, you know, a lot of different ad content to work out, well, what does an effective ad on Pinterest look like? And we broke it down into, as I said, 4 C's, which is context, content, craft, and color. Now, without going into too much detail, because it's probably not enough time for that today, but when we think about context, it's really about sort of embracing mobile first design, thinking about the feed context that your ad appears in. And we've spoken about, you know, ads being like content. If we think about content, we're talking about telling relevant stories that blend art and words and sound, and bringing authenticity to your ads. And so really, you know, we're trying to tell a story with every ad that we show. If we talk about craft, you know, this comes down to sort of how we lay out the copy, how we, you know, is it decentered? Is it a video? Are we moving, etc.? And then we talk about color, and it's really about sort of contrast, you know, finding that kind of natural balance between brightness, contrast, and sharpness. And so there's a whole study that we can get into in terms of creative effectiveness. But at the end of the day, Pinterest is a visual search platform. So, your ad content needs to be visually oriented, and it really needs to stand out. It's got to pop. It's got to engage the user. It's got to get their attention. And the other key thing to remember about, Pinterest ads is that they endure on the platform. So you're not just getting the ad for the period of your flight. The ad then stays on the platform, and so you're really getting the benefit of it for a longer period of time. So hence why you really want the creative to be as strong as possible.
So the next section then we're talking about, obviously, New Year, New You. Q1 is a massive part of people's marketing calendar when they're planning for 2026. Multiple niches, whichever way it's said, kind of have build towards Q1 over Q4, and some of the reasons are the buzzwords like CPM, CPCs, and things like that. We're going to have a dive in here, see where Pinterest is a real advantage when looking at Q1 for those metrics like CPMs. So pre-Christmas, when you've got your Black Friday and your holiday season and things like that, your CPMs are increasing, and they increase on the main platforms year over year over year. And it's just meaning that your conversion rate is going to have to get better, and your CPCs have to get better, and things like that. So it has a massive knock-on effect. One of the advantages that we see with Pinterest is obviously the CPMs are quite manageable. You can see from this graphic here that there's a large difference between the different types of CPMs. But Tom, when looking at brands, especially health and wellness and things like that, when Q1 is coming around, one of the questions they ask us is why Pinterest? And one of our answers back is cost, effectiveness and efficiency with cost of Pinterest. Is that something that other people talk about as well?
Yeah. So listen, I think cost is one part of the equation. I mean, if we just talk to this graph very briefly, post Black Friday, we're seeing CPMs, as you say, coming down reasonably dramatically. Obviously, they've spiked at Black Friday, but then over the rest of the period until the end of December and well into January, we're looking at CPMs which are going down. But we're actually seeing significant, we're seeing increases in engagement from the beginning of December right up to Christmas, and then enduring into January. And this is a result of a couple of things. One is that over the Christmas period, people getting new devices and sort of wanting to, use those devices and still engaging with content, getting inspired, things they want to do over the Christmas period. If we're talking about health and wellness, we all know about the idea of New Year, New You. I'm coming on to the 1st of January. I'm gonna, I want to get rid of my the pounds that I put on over Christmas, or I want to, improve my fitness regime, or I want to change my, my approach to health and beauty and all the rest of it. But it's really about sort of a reinvention. It's the new year. It's a new you. And so cost, yes, is one part of it, but the other, why else would you come onto Pinterest is that, we've talked about from the beginning is that people are coming to Pinterest to get inspiration to do stuff. So if we're talking about wanting to, change, something fundamental about your life in terms of your health or your well-being, well, why not be on Pinterest? You'd be going to Pinterest to get that inspiration, to find some content that will help you on that journey. So I think that's, those are two kind of really key reasons why users would be on Pinterest for that particular period. And we see it reflected in post-Christmas shopping surges. We see it in the growth in different search categories. Over the course of the weeks after Christmas. We're talking about beauty. We're seeing significant increases in, searches for beauty routines or spa days, spa treatments. If we're talking about fashion, it's spring outfits. It's women's running shoes. Things that are aligned with this new look, this new you that you want to manifest. If we come back to the shopping piece, really, just because Christmas is finished doesn't mean that people aren't wanting to engage on the platform or not even on the platform, but just want to buy stuff. There's obviously post-Christmas sales. which kick off as soon as Christmas is finished. Right up into January. There's the holidays that people want to go on. January is a key period for the travel business as people plan the holidays for later in the year. So there's a number of, I guess, reasons why you would be going on Pinterest to help you get to this new year, new you. And as I said, we're looking at increased engagement. We're looking at decreases in CPMs. We're looking at decreases in CPAs. And so there's, it's a heady mix, I guess, to help us, to help, advertisers take advantage of that period.
I think especially after the kind of Christmas period, people's social batteries are just a little bit down. And I think Pinterest, especially for me, speaking personally, but gives you the opportunity to just kind of dive in and get excited about some aspirational plans that you've got and start putting together ideas for 2026 and just kind of being a bit in your own world as well. So I think when I'm kind of going on Pinterest around, after Christmas time and stuff, it's just that time for me to just sit back and start to get ahead and plan and, have a bit of me time, I suppose, after such a busy social calendar as well.
100%. And listen, one of the other things that we haven't mentioned yet is Pinterest Predicts. This is something that we release every year. It's a study that comes out in early December, which looks at all the future trends that we envisage or that we anticipate for the upcoming year. What we're doing is we're looking at all the searches that have happened over the course of the year. There's a ton of AI and complex analysis put into the study, and we surface 20 trends that we think are going to be a big deal in the coming year. And that's again something that that if we're again thinking about new year, new you, what are we going to be doing coming into the new year? That's is a key part of the attraction of Pinterest, is that we are the trend setters. We're not looking. We're looking into the past to predict the future. And we have a slide actually here as well, which is not looking at this year's 2026 Pinterest Predicts, but it is looking at a number of trends that we're seeing currently trending on the platform, whether that's boho chic or blue paradise, polka dots, bold sunglasses. These are all things that we're seeing coming out of the platform, what people are actually searching for now. Whether these end up being in Pinterest Predicts, I don't know. We'll know in a couple of months. But again, watch this space for Pinterest Predicts. I think it's 85% of our predictions have historically come true. So we're reasonably confident in the quality of the research, but B, in the quality of the predictions.
The Pinterest office must be the best dressed. I think as well, just on this, you don't have to be a fashion brand to kind of capture, the polka dots and bold sunglasses and stuff like that. I've seen it work really well for, homewares brands or even makeup and things like that, like Blue Paradise. If you could get a really effective shot of some blue eye makeup and things like that, that's you capitalizing on that opportunity. So the trends that they have, they're across a bunch of different industries as well. It's not just kind of your fashion vertical. And I think that's where the Pinterest reps and the people who work with Pinterest can help brands kind of discover what or how to kind of incorporate these trends into their everyday ads as well.
Absolutely, yeah. You could even tie it into like people that maybe can't, do fashion or whatever, or they brand. You could tie it into, like, for example, jewelry. You could have people wearing polka dots or blue paradox or whatever it is as well. And if that is the trend of the fashion time, then it kind of makes it more attractive to certain buyers, shows you're up to date and things like that. So there's multiple ways to definitely incorporate them. One of the things that you spoke about there was you talked about people shop themselves. There definitely is that kind of shut up rate at some stage during Q4, and almost like somebody's pinned this phrase Q5. I don't know, I'm a huge fan of it now, but it is definitely a shopping time of year, post those cut-off dates when people have bought for their friends, family, whoever they're buying for, and then people kind of switch their mindset into shopping for themselves. It's not quite Q1. People are still sitting in front of the TV. They're still family and friends and things like that. But then it's important to be ahead in that time as well, and getting in front of people for that awareness piece in order to bring them through that funnel like you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, we do talk a lot about efficient reach. Even not during New Year, New You, but particularly at this time, where we can see that the CPMs are coming down, and we're still able to get significant reach across the platform. I think the efficiency of the reach comes down a lot to the way our users interact with the platform. As I said earlier, the intent that they come with, the way that they use the platform in terms of discovering new ideas, new trends, in terms of curation of content, in terms of and then having again that intent to go and buy something. So that is a really good mix for us to get efficient reach. Whilst we may not obviously have the same numbers as some of the larger platforms, globally we do have 578 million users on the platform every month. We have there's 16 million users using the platform on a monthly basis in the UK, and so we are able to reach broadly, but also efficiently. And I think the next slide talks about how hard your ads work on Pinterest, and there's a few key kind of stats here which stand out. One being how well Pinterest ads increase brand awareness, and so we've got plus 38% on other social platforms for ads increasing brand awareness, is plus 45% for ads that feel relevant to the user. So coming back to this idea of personalization, because I come to the platform to do something for me. I'm not coming to the platform to tell you about something that I've done in the past, or something that I want to do, or something that I want to do in the future. It's really about this is what I want to do now for me.
On that specific one, right? So one of the questions, or one of the roadblocks that we run into when we're looking at other social and search platforms is, as you increase the spend, you start breaking out the audience that maybe are not as relevant as it would be at a lower spend on other social platforms. That 68% there, obviously that backs into the AI that we spoke about earlier on, making sure that we're learning the data about people, what kind of people are buying the ads, things like that. That definitely is a really big, unique selling point from the Pinterest side of things, that the relevance of the ads is much, much higher than those of competitors.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it all ties into the intent that the user is coming with. It all ties in with the ads being part of the content, and really kind of aligned with the interest of the user. So whereas on other platforms, ads can seem jarring. They just like suddenly appear out of nowhere. Like, why did I get serve that ad? But on Pinterest, we've seen in a previous slide that the ads very much form part of the content. So it's this is, as I said, it is the uniqueness of the platform, and obviously something that we lean on heavily.
Absolutely. I'm not gonna lie, when I looked at this next slide, I found it amazing. It's not something I ever thought to measure, but it's obviously quite compounding, or quite eye-opening, some of these stats. We're talking here about reaching people. So again, another question that comes our way from brands is, when we go into Pinterest, how do we know they were reaching net new people? And it's not just this entering into this war of attribution and cannibalizing other results and things like this. Some of these stats here, looking at the number of people that are on Pinterest that aren't on any other platforms, is quite damning, really.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And listen, 50% of our users are Gen Z now, so that's when people might historically have thought, oh well, Pinterest is for older generation, with a certain gender. It's we're very much a young platform now. We're, as I said, 50% are Gen Z. I think one of the things that we're seeing in social media in general is that there is a certain amount of fatigue with social media. People, are not, they want to get away from being monetized for their rage, and I think there's an awful lot of that in social media. I think there's a certain toxicity to social media that people want to get away from. So, as I said earlier, Pinterest being a platform that is really for you, you as an individual, makes it a much happier place to be. We talk a lot about positivity on the platform, inclusivity on the platform. So this is a place where you can come be you. you can come and get content which is relevant to you, whether that's, skin tones, whether that's, hairstyles, whether that's body shape. We have content, that is aligned with you, the individual. So, people will come to Pinterest, too often get away from, all the noise that is out there on other social platforms. Hence why we're seeing this, this trend, I guess, now where, people are just being on Pinterest and not necessarily being on other platforms.
And I think that's such an important thing to note, that helps Pinterest stand out, is that if I'm looking at, hair color inspiration, you can choose whether to see, whether your hair is coily or curly or wavy or whatever it might be, and, what skin tone you have and stuff, so that those pins are exactly relevant for you. And I remember kind of seeing that feature for the first time, and it has such a huge impact on your kind of buying behavior, but also, your affiliation with the brand and how kind of attached you are to it. So it's such a big positive that I think Pinterest had that.
100%, 100%. I think one of the other things I think which is really important to note is that Pinterest is private by default for 16 years old and under. Okay, so this is a place, for young people where there's that toxicity does not exist. You cannot private message a person who is 16-year-old or under on Pinterest. It is a private platform for you, and that is obviously not the same with other channels. We effectively we are not social for younger generation, and that's a huge part of the positivity message that we're driving on Pinterest, and it's a huge part of why younger people want to be on Pinterest, because they want to get away from, all that other toxicity, as I said, that might be on other platforms.
In the world we live in now, it's massively important. And you've heard the horror story of other platforms. Okay, so shopping performance plus. So we, a lot of people know what advantage for shopping is and performance max. Pinterest has shopping at performance plus. We've kind of touched on it a little bit up to now, and how the AI kind of helps it make decisions better and much more curated journey for potential purchasers or consumers within Pinterest. But tell me a little bit about behind the scenes of Pinterest. Why did it come about? What the plus side of it is of people adding it to their marketing mix?
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned earlier that Pinterest historically had been seen as an upper funnel platform. And a couple of years ago, the decision was made really to go down this shopping route where we can bring people from the discovery stage right into the do stage. We want people to be able to transact through the Pinterest platform. I think the challenge here for any shopper and also retailer is that we are in a world of infinite choice, and I've already talked about decision paralysis, where people are just flooded with just so much content. They just don't know really where to look, where to go. As I said earlier, we're making 35,000 decisions every single day, and those are everything from the basic decisions to your more important ones, like what are you going to watch, or what podcast are you going to listen to, or what are you going to buy for your dinner.
Part of is whether to get out of it.
Well, that is a difficult one. I mean, the snooze button is my friend, I have to admit, but that is kind of what is contributing, I guess, to what people are feeling, and effectively they're feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so they're in we get stuck in this kind of decision paralysis, so much so that the stat we have is 70% of consumers' carts are abandoned before checkout. Over half of consumers drop out of the shopping experience. So it's obviously a big challenge. It's a big challenge to solve. I guess why am I saying all this? Why is it relevant for Pinterest? Everything that we've talked about so far is that Pinterest is a visual search platform. We're a discovery platform. People come onto the platform to discover something new, to get ideas so that they can shop, create a life that they love. Okay, so they're coming onto Pinterest to decide what they're going to do next, and that's why it's such a compelling argument, I guess, for us to have shopping on the platform, and why for advertisers it's a compelling argument, because as I said, we're taking that intent, we are the intent is being curated. It's been whittled down until a decision is actually made based on what the user wants to achieve. So with all that, what are you left with? You're left with a very, very high intent audience of shoppers. The number one reason that people come to Pinterest is to shop. As I said earlier, 50% of our user base is Gen Z, and they love to shop. So, as I said, it's a very, I feel anyway, a compelling argument. If you're thinking about it from an advertiser perspective, 96% of the top searches on Pinterest are unbranded. So you have that opportunity to grab the intent of the user on the platform and bring them to your brand rather than maybe other platforms where the user goes onto the platform, knows exactly what they want to buy already, or you're serving ads but not entirely sure whether you're hitting the right person at the right time. So that's really why we like to talk about Pinterest as being a decision platform, because we're able to move the user through the funnel, help the advertiser to grab the intent and get them shopping on their sites.
It backs onto what you were saying earlier on about the ads being relevant for the people as well. So like people are willing to spend on Pinterest. That's partly made up of the kind of demographic that's on it, like the Gen Zs, as you said, are open to spending and more willing to spend, but also the personalized experience that these people are getting on the platform, which I think you saw a couple of slides ago. Pinterest is ranked number one across the social media channels in terms of making it clear and confident decisions for these people. So, it's interesting to see, because when I first started marketing, I'm not going to tell people when it was, because they'll guess my age, and they never tells their age. But that change of being just a scroller to actually going in there making confident decisions that this is what I wanted to buy, and being able to bring in that very targeted audience as well, especially for some of the brands we work with that have AOVs of $400, $500, $600 or pounds or euros or whichever country you're in. It's massively important to have that curated progression through and for people to be able to stay on Pinterest and actually buy it as well.
Absolutely. And listen, we've talked a lot about intent. We're obviously talking here about the propensity for our users to spend. Really, what we're doing is we're driving that shopping intent to the websites of our advertisers. We've had in the last year, our outbound clicks from ads has doubled. We've got click-based conversions up by 51%, and click volume is up by 170%. This is globally now, year on year. We're grabbing the intent and then we're driving it in the direction of the advertiser and their website. And really, the next kind of few slides, really, I just want to talk through what is it that the advertiser, needs to do in order to take advantage of this intent and really set up shopping on your site. Set up shopping, I should say, on Pinterest. And really, the first key piece is to upload the product catalog. Super easy. We have integrations with Shopify, WooCommerce, Adobe Commerce, and so it's kind of almost kind of one-click stuff. From Shopify, you can send your catalog to the Pinterest platform, and then automatically you're going to be starting to serve that content.
You can also in the Pinterest catalog, you can include kind of optional fields. You can have kind of product identifiers and general attributes and things like that.
I mean, listen, you can, monitor your feed, manage your feed, and then one of the things that we'll say to clients is obviously to keep an eye on their feed health. So once the catalog is uploaded, there's obviously, as you say, Tina, there's like descriptions that may change or images or links, whatever it may be. But you've got to make sure that that the feed health is good. That is what helps obviously drive traffic to your sites. If it's not healthy, then the traffic isn't going to be getting there. But we have a catalog diagnostics dashboard within the ads manager, and that helps to solve those problems. Anything that comes in through the API, so whether it's Shopify or any other other feed providers, you can manage your feed health through that. You don't have to be an advertiser to upload your feed. any seller can upload their content onto the platform, and that's what we would obviously recommend as a first step. You could be generating organic traffic through Pinterest using your feed. If you then decide, well, we want to now go on and advertise and monetize our catalog, well then that's when you're going to be talking about setting up shopping campaigns through the ads manager. What we're now going to be talking about is Performance Plus, because this is really our AI solution for managing campaigns, for optimizing campaigns, for getting the best performance, but really using the black box to get there, rather than individuals, working away on the keyboards, trying to get the bidding right or trying to get the targeting right. Use all the knowledge that we have gathered from previous user experience to be able to recommend the best targeting, the best bidding, the best budgets, the best creative. And that's a key thing as well. If you're selling products on the website, if you look on this slide here, that bag would probably have been uploaded just as the bag without the background, but then we would have been able to add in the background using Performance Plus. So there's, just because you've got product shots and you think, oh, well, that doesn't look like much of an ad, those can be auto-generated for you. So there's, it's been a real boon for the Pinterest over the course of the last year. And the stats kind of speak for themselves. We're seeing 20% uplift on CPA improvement for advertisers using Performance Plus, and 14% increase in conversion rates for advertisers using Performance Plus. So there's been real positive and concrete results.
It definitely looks like it's working for sure with those numbers. Let's move into our last section then. So Premier Spotlight. Premier Spotlight kind of takes you back a little bit to like old press advertising. It's like where you used to pay for a full page advertisement or something like that when you were doing product launches, or you were trying to get people to turn up to an event and things like that. Obviously, it's not to that level anymore, but speak to us a little bit about who uses Spotlight or Spotlight, Tom, and what the advantages are to it for a brand that's advertising on Pinterest.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, Premier Spotlight is our premium product. It is our awareness focused product. It is a max width screen. So if you look here on the slide, you can see the lady with the sunglasses and the hat. That is what we would call a spotlight. She's taking up the whole screen. Key here is that it's the first ad impression on each page. We're reaching 100% of qualified daily users. And really what's the key message here is that it's really about, max reach, max awareness, but also, then what the use case might be for, a new product launch. If you've got a new line of sunglasses, for example, you might say, well, I'm going to use Premier Spotlight to launch that. You might have a new food product that you want to launch, or a new beauty product that you want to launch, and you want to get the message across to as many users as possible. Then you might use Spotlight. You might have a very time limited event that is happening, and you want to again get max reach for it. So Spotlight is our premium awareness product. You're reaching audiences at scale. You're taking over either the home feed or the search landing page, and you can take both, or you can take one or either of those in the market that you're operating in. And yeah, it's really there for sort of maximum impact. Just as a caveat, it's not available in all markets. It's obviously available in the UK. It's not available in Ireland. So for any Irish clients, unfortunately, that's not an option right now. We're looking at, as I said, it's sort of product launches, brand events, holidays, moments. Those are the kind of the key use cases for Premier Spotlight.
Absolutely, the brands put in a huge amount of effort going from the very, very start when they were releasing a new product. The research behind it, the testing phase, where it comes back with the way they like it, the build up to it as well. So it's important when you're doing a launch, let's say for a new set of shoes or a new style of dress, whatever it is, that you really do get people that are interested in your brand knowing about this. Because we've been there where launch days haven't hit exactly like they want to hit, And Premier Spotlight is something that can make sure that you kind of supercharge that and really, really get it out there to your target audience. One of the things on the next slide, then, just to have a chat through, it's not just product launches. We mainly focus on D2C, but there is other advantages to it.
Absolutely. Listen, I mean, obviously, depending on the advertiser's budget, but you can use Spotlight for whatever you want.
Lovely. Well, I'll finish up by asking, is there any teasers for 2026?
But I think, listen, the key one for us every year is Pinterest Predicts. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I'm quite excited by it. But really, that's our kind of flagpole event of the year, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Absolutely. Tom, thank you so much for jumping on. There's a huge amount of information there and a lot of valuable insights. Really, really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And listen, I hope you all have a wonderful Q4 and a fantastic new year, new you, as we come into 2026.